So, since my last video, or my very first video about what we were going through with the camper, a ton has happened. And I put another video so people could see, or I can just document for myself. At the time, my intentions were to try to just get my YouTube channel monetization back up again. So at least I would have some sort of, extra income that we originally weren't trying to rely on for this journey. I was just trying to get the views back up, and hopefully the YouTube views would help financially give us something to remodel the camper. And I put up the second video, so because I had already recorded that one, number one, and also to kind of show and document the extent of the damage. And also, interesting enough, I look back at it and see my emotional where I was at, and I recall the feeling very well and still very fresh. Anyway, sorry, that was my washer going. So I'm going to start with that night that I had published that video. We talked about the condition of the camper and how the damages were just beyond our ability. Not so much ability as in our physical ability, but financially, and our situation. We're kind of on a time crunch. There's so much involved in this situation that would be so hard for me to sit and explain everything that would have to be worked out to be able to remodel the camper. And towards the end of the video, I just started really accounting and thinking about everything. I'm not just a stay-at-home mom, I'm a homeschool mom as well, and the way we have to do our laundry is different. The way we do grocery shopping is different. I mean, every aspect of our home life has changed. And so that adds additional stress, especially when you're still trying to get a system down. I mean, with laundry, we have to do it every day. Otherwise, we're out here all day long and nothing else gets accomplished. So that makes it tough. And of course, I'm trying to get back on track with homeschool and trying to find a place for the books other than in storage. So that's a challenge in itself. Cooking and taking care of dinner and my animals. My dogs can't walk up and down the steps to the camper, so we have to physically lift them. And that's several times a day, in and out of the camper. I have one large dog, and you guys see Missy, and she's a solid bag of rocks for a little dog and all that weight. I don't get it. Anyways, so on my body physically and mentally, everything just seemed and felt so impossible. And so I woke up the next morning, and my husband had messaged me saying that he was already on his way to work, that a GoFundMe had been started for us. And I thought I was kind of dreaming. Wasn't something I expected, and kind of didn't believe until I seen it for myself. So Dan Priest, he is the founder, along with another lady, of Art for Our. It's Art for Operation Underground Railroad. It's a organization that helps to recover children that have been put in sex slavery. And it's an amazing organization, and I think it's one that needs a lot of attention. Anyways, he had started the GoFundMe for my family. And on top of that, my PayPal donations link, which I've always had for just projects and things like that. If someone wanted to donate for, my turning stuff. So after that, I found out that the GoFundMe was started. It was overwhelming. I had no idea how to feel about it. My husband didn't either. He kind of felt awkward and weird because we've always been the givers or the fixers, and that's not by our own abilities. That was God's grace and God blessing us so we can bless others. We always do pray for that we can bless others with what He blesses us with, and that we don't squander, His blessings. And so it was a really uncharted, weird territory to be in as the receiver of gifts. And not just donations, the messages that I received just in the first 24 hours. I mean, I couldn't see for 2 straight days because I was just bawling, crying. How my channel has inspired people, and I'm not touting that on me. When I first started the channel, I prayed about it, and the Lord said go, and I said, well, this is yours. It's yours, not mine. And I asked that He would do with it what He wanted to do with it. And the messages I received were just so... I got a peek, just a small peek of what all of that hard work on my end, me thinking that, just all your struggles and stuff, and you think there's struggles in wood turning, and then, something in your life happens and you're like, wow, that was nothing compared to this. And hearing all of your stories about the personal struggles that you guys have been through, I couldn't help but feel ashamed for feeling so defeated. And it wasn't, I know y'all didn't send those messages purposely to shame me. It was just my heart felt convicted because I felt, gosh, am I being so ungrateful? But no matter what, every one of us has an individual situation that we're going through. And I had to realize that too. Like, I have a situation that no matter how bad somebody else's situation is, mine still exists. And what might be, you're stuck in the mud to your ankles would be my knees. And I had to really process that but also took my mind off of my situation and really gave me an opportunity to think about how others have overcome these struggles. Most of them I got were health struggles, debilitating health struggles. And it was just amazing because I'm thanking the Lord for my most basic things that we take for granted, the breath in my lungs, and me being able to walk and use both of my arms and both of my legs, and I can see and I can eat, and all of those things that we just take for granted. A lot has happened in this past week. We were kind of stuck at a standstill because we started evaluating everything in this camper, what would all need to be replaced, the finances that would be involved in replacing everything. We've got several quotes from a lot of RV dealers just on the roof and the pop-outs to redo the roof, and just to replace the floors and the pop-outs, not finish them. It was over like $16,000. Now naturally that's an RV dealer and we could obviously do it cheaper, but we have a situation where I'm trying to do all of the things that a wife and mother does during the day and get a camper remodeled. And it's just when am I going to be able to do this? How am I going to be able to do this and do it in a timely fashion? If we were still living in our house and this was parked in our yard and I had my shop and all of that, it probably would be just fine. Minus the health portion of it, because the mold was so bad, and of course me being in there for a few days breathing it. Mold has some crazy effects on your body. Sinus infection, coughing constantly, wheezing. I don't snore much, but I've been snoring because of all of the sinus congestion. Foggy brain, like at 3 o'clock. I literally feel like it's 3 o'clock in the morning, and I want to pass out. Real foggy brain. I'm like trying to just think about the basic stuff I'm supposed to do, and it's been a challenge. So I started researching on that, and apparently that's some of the side effects of mold. So after a few days of rest, we started evaluating what was going on with my health, my husband's health, and evaluating the whole situation and just trying to paint a picture of how this was going to work out. So quickly, in a few days, we had gotten so many messages, prayers. I mean, I think I felt your prayers immediately. I felt my burdens being lifted that very next morning. And what a amazing miracle that alone was. I don't know how to explain it. The last video, I was begging from my soul for just God to show us a way of how we're going to be able to do this. And I don't doubt his strength for any minute. I don't doubt his ability for any minute. And I think I was putting myself too much in the equation. I was thinking that I had to do it, and my husband had to do it, and we had to do it because we've always been that way. We just do it. And so we've decided that with the donations and timing is key with this build. We are very limited as to when and how much we can finance, and that's why we had saved money for a used camper, because we knew our finances would be tied up with the builder and the bank for our home loan. If anybody has ever built a house, you know that every little dime you spend is scrutinized by the bank, which I can see. I mean, they're loaning you a ton of money to build your future home, and it's going to take a year. It's not something you get overnight. So there's a lot of financial stuff that comes up that whole year, and of course we planned for it, and we budgeted that in, and we had a realization of it before we got into this. It wasn't like something we just jumped into and said, oh crud, it's expensive to build a house. We sacrificed a lot for several years to get to this point. Anyways, oh gosh, the whole week gave us some time to just sit and be still and wait on the Lord. And that's one of the things that we hadn't really done. We were high-speed chicken feed, like from the moment we left my parents' house, trying to get a solid roof over our head, and it seemed like it was just nothing was working out the way we had planned. From that point, it was a monkey wrench thrown into the whole plan. We decided, I know I'm kind of going all over the place, we decided that with the donations, we could use the donation money as a down payment for a new camper from a dealer and not from a private seller. So if there's anything wrong with it, we can just take it back to the dealer or have them fix it. Yeah, we'll do that. It just, for our situation, we don't need something we can fix. We need something we can live in. And I can get on with homeschooling my kids, and we can get on with trying to figure out how we're going to do simple stuff like groceries and laundry and everything else that I do during the day. But we have to wait until after the end of this month in order to finance anything. The closing for our loan has to take place before we can touch any application process for any loan. And so it gives us even more time just to be still and wait and allow the Lord to lead us to what home He wants us to have for a year. And I have to say this, that thank you is not an adequate word for how we feel, how much appreciation we feel, and how overwhelmed we are about all of this. And the number one thing that I quickly realized was that this whole situation had very little to do with us. And hear me out. The messages and prayers and people coming together from all situations in life, all dealing with their own craziness and all of everyone that came together, and the stories that messages that I got, I quickly realized that this isn't anything to do with us. It had everything to do with what the Lord was doing in people's lives and our lives. And Scripture says that He shows His strength in our weakness. And I couldn't have thought of any other weaker time I've had in my life other than when I came to know the Lord. And boy has He shown up and made us realize that He's never going to leave us or fail us. You know, the things that happen to us obviously aren't ideal, and maybe even the fixes that come aren't exactly the ones that we would have in mind or plan for, but He directs our paths, and He's the light to our feet. He's the lamp. And I'm so overwhelmed by seeing it and slowing down for a minute and realizing that this has very little to do with us. It's about what He's doing and everyone, and what He's showing us and everyone else. So it is pretty amazing to be able to take a back seat to yourself and just sit down and look at what all God has done in your life and what He's doing. And it's hard to even breathe through the words, because there's just nothing in this. There's no earthly language that can express my husband, my family's thankfulness, gratefulness. Our hearts just overflow with praise to Him, for one, and thankfulness to all of y'all. I can't even, like I said, thank you just doesn't seem adequate enough word. So everyone who has sent a message, prayed for us, number one, those prayers were felt. They're still felt. A peace came over me that I never thought would happen, at least until we were moved in our home. That is unexplainable, and I know that's the Lord. So your prayers have a dramatic impact on me. And the message is just sharing your stories with me and your trials, encouraging us. That's amazing. That's what we're supposed to do, is share each other's burdens and encourage one another, lift one another up, no matter what. And the donations, I mean, that's obviously, we have to have money in order to live. Unfortunately, being homeless, it's even more expensive. I can't even imagine. Like I said, I just don't think thank you is a good enough word. But I guess it's gonna have to do until some better word, or I said this, I says, thank you isn't enough, but I'm gonna say it, and then y'all get to see, you'll be able to see it. I'm seeing it for sure, the impact of how amazing people are still, even though when I was losing hope, and God restored that. I praise Him for all of this. We've done nothing but sat here in awe of everything that's going on. He's orchestrated so much, and He still is. A friend of mine messaged me the other night and said, God had already had a plan and a fix for our situation long before it even happened. And she's so right. This wasn't a surprise to Him. It was a surprise to us, and He's rescued us. He's rescued us from that place of despair. And I want to encourage all of you that we should have stopped and prayed in the midst of all of it, in every moment. As soon as we start feeling ourselves going down that despair hole, we should have stopped and prayed, but we were too busy trying to solve our own problems and fix things and do it ourselves, because we're just stubborn and prideful like that. And I feel ashamed, but I feel like I had forgotten about how mighty our God was. And that makes me feel horrible, because it does. And He's, through His sovereignty and His grace, His love and His mercy in our lives, He's reminded us in a way we don't deserve. I'm trying to make this a happy video and not sad, but that's just the things that my heart has been, amongst other things, my heart has been going through. He's showing us a lot of stuff that's in us, and most importantly, He's showing us His faithfulness, and it's undeserved, and it's amazing. I love you. I love everybody. And thank you for sharing my burden. Thank you for reaching out and encouraging us. Thank you for restoring our faith in humanity. And most of all, praise Jesus for it, because it has nothing to do with us. It has nothing to do with us. We just happen to be in the situation where God can show His honor and glory and just shine through our situation, and I'm praising Him for it. So thank Jesus for it all. It's all I got to say. I can't take any credit or get on the stage, because it's not about us, and I'm thankful for that. It means a lot more whenever it's not about us. So thank you all. I'll keep you updated on everything that's going on. We have a few weeks before we can make any decisions. And I thank you all so very much. Like I said, we don't deserve this, but God is good. He's a good Father, and He won't leave us or forsake us. He just won't. When I said I needed a miracle on top of a miracle, He delivered. He heard my heart. He heard our hearts. He's seen where we were at, and He came and rescued us. So I love everybody. Thank you so much. Hopefully I'll be updating everything, and I pray you'll have a wonderful week, a blessed week. Thank Jesus for everything you have and everything that He has in store for you. I love you. God bless.